Hey everybody, and welcome to the Azure Communication Services video series on all things email. Now, if you're not familiar, Azure Communication Services is Microsoft's intelligent communication platform that allows developers to build communication features quickly and easily. In this first video, we'll cover the basics of sending an email, verifying your custom domain, adding suppression lists, and adding send from lists. So let's jump into the portal and check it out. Now we're in the Azure portal. You can see I already have a few resources created, including a communication service and a resource group. You should create those as well if you want to follow along, and we'll leave information on how to do that in the description below. But let's go ahead and create an email communication service. So I'll click Create Resource. I'll search for Email Communication Services. And when this pops up here, I'll click Create. Now we want to click our subscription, find our resource group. I'm going to use one I've already created. And I want to create an instance name here. Let's call this Sean Email Video. And here for our region, you just want to make sure that the email resource is in the same geo as your communication resource. In this case, I'm going to click Global and United States, and then I'll click Review and Create. I'll click Create again. And this will initialize that deployment. And as soon as this is done, we'll have our email communication resource created. Once it's done, let's go check out the resource itself. Now this pulls up the main page of our email communication resource. And we see we have two options. We can add a free Azure subdomain, or we can set up a custom domain. Each have their own benefits. Adding your own Azure managed subdomain, this is going to get you up and running very quickly, but it does have some limitations in terms of lower throughput. You can't add additional send from addresses and so forth. But let's go ahead and see how quickly we can get up and running by clicking it. So immediately upon clicking, it starts deploying. And what's nice about the Azure managed subdomain is it takes care of all the verifications that we need to do manually if we have our own custom subdomain. So we'll have a verified domain status. SPF and DKIM will also be taken care of, and it'll be good to go. There we go. So it pops up, and we can see that we have this automatically generated domain name. It's just at this domain that we already have, and everything that we already need is verified. From here, I could actually go, once I connect this, I could send emails from this Azure managed subdomain, but I think it's going to be more interesting to see the custom domain. So let's add a domain and add our custom domain. Let's create a custom domain. I'm going to call it Email Video Test. And this is at the domain that we already own, this Azure Comtest. And let's click Confirm. And then we want to add it. So this is going to go ahead and deploy as well. Once we've officially added our custom domain, we need to verify it and just prove that we have ownership of it. So we can follow the directions here. We're going to have to add a text record. So let's click Verify Domain. And it's going to give us this information here. So in the Azure portal, we get this text record generated for us that we can use in our domains registrar or DNS. You can follow the instructions that pop up, or I'll leave the information down below. But to follow along, we want to go ahead and copy this text value, and I want to add this into our record set. So I'm going to go to a new tab, which is our DNS zone, and this is going to be where we verify the domain. Now, because the DNS for this particular domain is Azure DNS, we'll be able to add the record here in the DNS zone. And we'll start by adding our record set. So I'll navigate to DNS management and then record sets. You can see a list of all the record sets we already have. We want to go ahead and add our record set. We're going to add it for the domain that we just added, which was Email Video Test. We want to change the type to text. We're going to just paste that value that we copied from the previous site. Click Add. And now we've successfully created the record set. So let's go back to the email service. And if I click Next, we should have verified that our domain is in our ownership. So we'll click Done. Close. And I'll close it again. And if I click Refresh, we should have this new custom domain with a verified domain status. Awesome. Now you'll notice, unlike the Azure managed subdomains, we haven't confirmed or configured the SPF or DKIM. That's because there are many ways you can do that, and we'll add links in the description for you to follow along. But now that we have these two domains, we have a custom domain and we have our Azure managed domain, we need to connect these to our communication resource. Now let's go back to our communication resource that you should have already set up. And I want to find the email blade, and I'm going to go to domains here. Now, if you just created these Azure managed domains or hooked up your custom domain, you shouldn't have any domains in here. So let's click connect domain. We know the resource group is this video resource group. The email service is Sean email video. And then the verified domain, the only one that exists right now, the only verified one that's fully verified is the Azure managed subdomain. So let's click that one. It shows you, it gives you a preview of what it will look like if you send an email from it. And let's click connect. And we get the notification that the domain is successfully connected. So now we can send emails from this domain name if we want. Because we didn't go through the process of verifying our custom domain, I'm going to pivot to a different communication service that already has an Azure managed subdomain and a custom domain ready to go. So I'm going to go to a different group here. We can see we're still in a communication service, but now I have two different email communication services. I have one that looks like the Azure managed domain, and that's what this is. And then I have a custom domain that's already configured and already been verified. It's the AA Sean at that same URL as before. Now let's explore some of the functionality we can add for our custom domain. So I'm going to click the domain name. Now the first thing to notice is that user engagement tracking is off. So I'm going to click turn on. And what this is going to do is enable user tracking, enable customer mail from. But this is not something you'll be able to do out of the box. You'll have to actually send a request to increase your quota. And that's something we'll cover in a later video, but I'm going to turn them on for now. And now let's find this email services blade. And here we can add MailFrom addresses and suppression lists. So let's add a few MailFrom addresses. Out of the box, you're always going to have this do not reply display name and MailFrom. But let's say we want to add something more custom. Let's say we want to add a display name of Sean Keegan, and we want to be Sean K at our domain. I can click save. And now I can send emails from either the do not reply display name or from Sean Keegan. And the last thing I want to show you is suppression list. Now these are email addresses that won't receive emails if you send them. Basically a blocked recipient. Very easy to add these, and you can see I can add them for either my do not reply or the new one I just created. So let's add a suppression list. Let's call it blocked. And if I want to add folks now, I just click add new recipient, and I could just do whatever email address I want, and then emails won't be sent to this email address. Now, the last thing, we've set everything up. Let's go ahead and actually send an email. To do this, I need to go back to the communication service. So I'm going to go into this other tab where I have my communication service open. I want to navigate to the email and then try email. Now this pulls up a series of dropdowns that allows you to generate an email and send it directly from the portal. So I'll click the domain and we should see the two that I've created. I have my custom and my Azure managed one. I'll click the custom one. And you'll notice that as I make changes in the dropdown, the code block here generates dynamically with those changes. So any code language that you're comfortable with, feel free to use that. I want the send email username. Let's pick that custom one we did. And for a recipient email address, let's send it to an email that I created for this demo. Let's make it a little more exciting. You can add attachments directly from the portal. Let's add some kittens. And we can embed these in line, or you can have them as attachments. And let's go ahead and click send. Now clicking send will say we got a successfully queued email, and then once it goes through, we'll get the notification that it was sent. Awesome. And then I'll pull up my email and show you what it looks like. And here is that email. So like we would expect, we have the display name of Sean Keegan that we set from that custom send from address. We have the HTML, and we have the kitten pictures in there as well. And that's it for this video. Go try out sending an email in the Azure portal today, or watch other videos to see even more advanced things you can do with email in Azure Communication Services. See you next time.